Okay, so eating the same bland chicken, rice, and broccoli all week sucks. So I made some super flavorful chicken karahi for my meal prep this week. This is cheap and easy to make, it tastes great, and it holds its flavor all week. This is usually a pretty popular Indian takeout dish, but I made a version of it that's healthier and more meal prep friendly. The authentic way to cook this is in a wok-like pan over an open flame, but I don't have one of those lying around. So with a few tweaks, I'll show you how I got it to work on a cast iron griddle. I also made some cumin rice and yogurt dip to go along with it. If you follow with me, you can have this done in under an hour and the whole meal will come in at around 500 calories per serving, and I'll have a full detailed macro breakdown for you at the end. So the first thing I did was to put on the rice so it could cook while I prepped everything else. I made some cumin rice, so I started off by washing 1.5 cup of basmati rice until the starch was rinsed, and then I added the required amount of water for my rice cooker. Then I added 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds, 4 dried whole cloves, 4 green cardamom pods, and 1 stick of cinnamon, and I set it to cook. This should be done in about an hour. Then I got started prepping all the veggies that I needed for this. I started by finely dicing 2 large onions. I used a mandolin for this, but you can also use a grater. I prefer the mandolin because you can do a ton of veggie prep on this and it's a huge time saver. I then diced 1.5-inch cube of ginger. I then grated 20 cloves of garlic. Meal prep pro tip here, buy pre-peeled garlic. It saves you at least a few minutes of meal prep time each week. The next thing I did was I grated 3 pounds of tomatoes. I used basic Roma tomatoes for this, but any tomatoes will work. The tomatoes will be cooked down and add the acidity to this dish. The next thing I did was to dice up about 8 jalapenos. I like things really spicy, but if you can't handle the heat, you can replace the jalapenos with about 3 large green peppers. I finished off the veggie prep by dicing half a cup of cilantro, and once this was done, I moved on to the chicken. Okay, so I made 10 meals with this, so I used a 5-pound tray of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I like to cube my chicken thighs for sautés and stir fries. Cubing the chicken increases the exterior surface area, so that means more browning and more flavor than if you were to just leave them whole. And it also cooks faster, so you save a ton of meal prep time. Once the chicken was prepped, I made a quick yogurt dip. For this, I started by finely dicing 1 large English cucumber and about 5 stalks of cilantro. Then I added to a bowl 1.5 cup of plain Greek yogurt. Then I mixed the yogurt with the diced tomatoes and cilantro and added half a teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of garam masala, and a pinch of salt to taste. I mixed this all together and kept it in the fridge until the chicken was cooked. I cooked this on my Weber cast iron griddle. I love this for meal prep because it's super versatile and helps me save a ton of time by cooking in bulk. I first started by heating the griddle to medium heat and adding about 2 tablespoons of oil. Once the oil was hot, I first sauteed the onions until they were brown. I then added the grated garlic and some of the ginger. I let the aromatics cook until they had some color, and then I added in the chopped jalapenos. After the jalapenos started to brown, I added the chicken and mixed it together with the sauteed veggies. Once the chicken started to brown, I added the cut tomatoes and a mixture of 2 tablespoons of coriander powder, 1 tablespoon of cumin powder, and 1 tablespoon of red chili powder, and I finished it off with 2 tablespoons of salt. The tomatoes will render and form a thick sauce for this dish. The authentic way to cook this would be to use a karahi, which is very similar to a rounded bottom wok. The sauce would pull at the bottom and you could toss the chicken around it until it's done. But because I'm using a flat top griddle, I need to sort of collect the chicken so that the liquid doesn't evaporate as fast and the steam and heat have a chance to cook the chicken. When you're doing this, if you see that the liquid is drying up too fast, you can add some water and this should help you keep things moist without it drying up too fast. After about 10 minutes or so, the chicken should be done, so you can add in the chopped cilantro and stir it in before taking the chicken off the griddle. Once it's off, you can top it off with the remaining ginger slivers for garnish. The rice should also be done about now, so we can start prepping the meal prep boxes. Okay, so for each box, I put about 200 grams of chicken, 150 grams of rice, 2 ounces of yogurt dip. The macros for this work out to be about 554 calories with about 59 grams of carbs, 17 grams of fat, and 39 grams of protein. If you like this meal prep video, please feel free to subscribe and you'll be notified when I launch my next video, or check out some of my other meal prep videos.